The Toronto Blue Jays are forced into an impossible decision, and following what has been a very up and down year for both the Toronto Blue Jays as a whole, but also their pitching staff, they are now forced into a massive decision that has huge implications going forward for this team. And as the trade deadline looms and approaches, we have some new reports revealing some new information surrounding not only their trade deadline plans, but more importantly, a decision that awaits in the coming days. We'll break down exactly what that is, but we also have some big updates surrounding some reinforcements on the way back for the Jays ahead of this afternoon's game. Of course, it's going to be an interesting video for you all, so make sure you stay tuned till the end. But before we get into it all, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Jays content. Your guys' support has been unbelievable. If you want to help us towards our big goal of 25,000 subscribers, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're inching closer and closer every single day. Folks, a lot to go over today, and it's going to be an interesting one. So you don't want to stay tuned to the end, but the Jays now, they're coming off a big win against the White Sox. They're coming off a big win in general here in the past, really this whole 20, 25 game stint. But there has been one common denominator here, and it is the starting pitching staff. And we're going to be diving into a few different things here because they have some massive decisions to make. And as the trade deadline looms, as the trade deadline approaches, the Jays need to figure out some things. And I want to take you back a couple days ago when Thomas Hall put out this tweet following Spencer Turnbull's disastrous start. The velocity looked better at times, but they don't know where the Jays will go from here with Spencer Turnbull. And with Max Scherzer presumably back next week, Turnbull likely returns to the bullpen. But if Scherzer and Lauer can give you at least 5 innings, there may be fewer and fewer spots for Turnbull. Now, this video isn't about Spencer Turnbull, but it is rather about kind of the whole of the Toronto Blue Jays starting rotation, because they are going to have to make a massive decision. And this decision is going to rely on A, what do they do with Bowden Francis? Will he be gone? What will roster spots entail there? But B, how are they going to approach this upcoming trade deadline, specifically regarding, and just upcoming, not even trade deadline, but managing and juggling A, the roster spots they have, but B, their starting rotation. They have 3 reliable starters right now, and it seems that Max Scherzer is going to be coming back soon. We know we got a bunch of updates surrounding, Jimmy Garcia, Bowden Francis. Won't throw for a few more days, but you can see this article that dropped here. The Blue Jays make a pair of minor moves, but they are fully aware bigger decisions await. And this is surrounding what they're going to do with Bowden Francis. You can see this here. Scherzer managed just 1 start before a lengthy rehab process this season, while Manoah hasn't pitched at all in 2025. Scherzer made a second rehab start, and we have an update there. Scherzer came out before the game yesterday. He is expected to make the start on Tuesday against the Guardians. It might be pushed to later on in the series, but assuming everything goes well, he's throwing his side session today. Got pushed back. So it seems like he's going to be coming back. But if the Jays need to trip their rotation to 5 pitchers once Manoah and Scherzer are back, Francis appears to be the most likely candidate to be moved. Now, this is obviously very optimistic thinking, because this would be assuming that Max Scherzer and Alek Manoah both make contributions, and that Manoah is going to be back in August. I'm going to be taking a bit more of a short-term approach. They have a huge decision to make surrounding roster spots, because not only is it Bowden Francis, and I do ultimately think they're going to have a huge decision here surrounding Bowden Francis, but you look at a lot of these guys like Varsho, Garcia, Bowden Francis, Santander. Those are 4 players, and we're going to be focusing on, even guys like Jimmy Garcia, Varsho, and Bowden Francis, right? The Jays don't have a lot of roster spots left, and even if you kind of take away for a minute the starting rotation and you look more so even at the bullpen, Nick Sandlin, of course, got called up. They sent down Will Robertson, and of course, they also sent down Justin Brule. They are going to bring back Jimmy Garcia. What are they going to do with a couple of their players in the bullpen? They're going to have to be, make a move here. Are they going to send down Mason Forty because he has options? Are they going to do what they probably should be done and DFA Chad Green? That is a huge decision they're going to have to make. And even taking away from Bowden Francis and how bad he's been, and I do ultimately think when all things are said and done, I think they're going to acquire a starting pitcher, and then Scherzer / Manoah are going to take up the bulk of those, 5th starter spot innings. And I do ultimately think Bowden Francis is either going to get traded or sent down or, DFA'd. But regardless of that, they have so many roster moves that are on the horizon now. They're going to have a lot of difficult and impossible decisions to make, because guys like Braden Fisher, who have options but probably shouldn't be optioned based on their performance, who's going to get optioned in exchange for Jimmy Garcia? What's going to happen when Dalton Varsho comes back? Like, this team now is about to have an unbelievable amount of decisions to make. Are they going to go with maybe a DFA of Spencer Turnbull? I mean, Eric Lauer's been dominant. So many decisions. And of course, surrounding this, even Bowden Francis, that is a huge decision as well. And we know he's been really, really bad this year. And I don't think they're going to go ahead and pull the trigger right away on Bowden Francis. I think ultimately they're going to keep him for a while, because you never know what's going to happen with Scherzer and Manoah. And Manoah is still a ways away from returning, right? He's probably not going to be coming back till August. Could be coming back a little bit faster. But Max Scherzer, a ton rides on his start on Tuesday, which or later in the series against the Guardians, because you have an off day Monday. But not only is there going to be a lot of decisions to be made for this ball club, if Scherzer comes out and performs well, it starts to shape up things a little bit. But they need to make a trade anyways. And that trade then is going to push people out of the rotation, probably Bowden Francis, but also push people just out of the team. Has too many players on the team, and you have a ton of injuries. Like, moves have to be made. Some of them easier than others. But can you justify sending down Braden Fisher when you have Chad Green on the squad? It's going to be interesting. The article basically went on to say that, of course, Bowden Francis has been up and down. There's always the possibility that either Manoah or Scherzer could suffer another step back. If two of Scherzer, Manoah, and Francis put together a decent back half of the season, Toronto can make a much improved pitching staff as they make a playoff push. And that's, of course, very true. I think they're going to try to get some outside help looking in. Of course, Keegan Matheson came on my show and said that a trade similar to the Bowden, José Berríos trade from a few years ago, when you get a guy with potential control and not having to give up too many assets. But like, you can see this here. Not sure if there's number one out there, but the Jays front office has shown in the past it can be bold when it comes to pitching acquisitions. Like, they need to go out and make a move for a starting pitcher, and it makes a ton of sense. And I mean, at the end of the day, you look at a guy like Chad Green and even Bowden Francis. Now, I think Bowden's probably going to be staying for a little bit, but like Chad Green, that's another decision the Jays have to make. And it's not just one difficult decision. In the next coming weeks, like, you're going to have multiple players returning, multiple big league talents returning, and you need to make tough decisions. Chad Green's taking $10 million. He has a 4.18 ERA, has given up some of the most home, he might even get the most, but probably some of the most home runs in baseball, because he has just been not very good at all, right? And that's the unfortunate reality of it. He's the worst in baseball in giving up barreled balls. You can see the first percentile barrel percentage, fourth percentile hard hit percentage. Like, he gets absolutely leveled. No peripherals look good. Like, you're going to have to make the decision to get rid of him instead of guys like Braden Fisher if you want to win now. You just DFA'd Eric Swanson. It's hard to justify, keeping Chad Green on this ball club, especially with the way, and I was a fan of Chad Green last year. He was crucial at times for a bullpen that, the team wasn't competing. The Jays have a lot of decisions to make, and specifically when Jimmy Garcia comes back, what is that decision going to be? And then, of course, if Scherzer comes back and he looks very good, what is their decision going to be surrounding Bowden Francis? Are they going to keep him on the IL? Are they going to bring him back and try to just have him in the fifth starter spot? But if Eric Lauer continues pitching as well as he has, and even Spencer Turnbull has a bounce back start or something like that, can you justify Bowden Francis with a 6 ERA returning to the team? There is a ton of question marks here. And what we know is that this Toronto Blue Jays front office, unlike previous years, are going all in. They are diving into the win now approach. They gave up Eric Swanson, who was a beast in 2023. They're giving up on guys who aren't contributing to winning now. It's going to be interesting to see how all of this shapes out, especially with the trade deadline inching closer and closer, a bit over a month away. But folks, you guys are absolute beasts. Thank you guys for your continued support. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on this and who would you get rid of. Jays need to go ahead and take the win today. Losing a series against the White Sox is unacceptable, but the Jays, we're in the middle to late June, folks. 2 games up in a wild card spot, 3 games back in the AL East. Season's going pretty well, and hopefully you guys are doing well as well. Thank you guys for watching. Guys. Cheers.